It's time for another edition of the Jim Barron Show, presented by Geico. I'm your host, Ben Wagner, along with the head coach of the Golden Griffins, Jim Barron, joining us after a big and emotional weekend. And we got plenty of basketball to talk about, not only rewinding the tape over the last Friday and Sunday matchups, but also looking ahead to a big weekend on the road. Coach, let's go back to the Battle of the Bridge, and it's always great to have a rivalry game. It's always great to come out on the winning side and do something that no program has done, and you guys were able to win their fourth consecutive game at the Taps Gallagher Center.
Well, you know, it was a very emotional week after we had beaten Manhattan on the road. Then we go in and beat Quinnipiac. So I really didn't know what to expect, but I think our guys got really, really excited. They got pumped up. And, you know, Niagara beat us pretty good last year, the second time we played them. And they're a good team. They had beaten St. Peter's. They beat Manhattan themselves. So, you know, we went up there, and I thought we did a really good job of defending and rebounding. You know, anytime you have a chance to out-rebound a team, I think we did that in the Manhattan game. It really gives you a piece of the puzzle that's real important for the victory, because you get more opportunities when you get rebounds, offensive rebounds, when you get defensive rebounds, and you limit their possessions once the shot goes up. So, you know, we did a really good job of rebounding the basketball. We held down Blackman and as well as Scott, who are their two best players. But it was an excellent victory. And then we made some adjustments the second half after we got in a little bit of foul trouble to mix and match with the man as well as the zone. And I thought that was a big key for that victory.
I really like talking to you about the zone because it's been such a vital part of the three-game win streak that you put together, and it was evident. You forced Niagara to take shots that they really didn't want to take because they weren't able to make them and get any rhythm kind of going. How important is that 3-2 in that zone as it moves back and forth?
Well, you know, zone is very good. I mean, you see Syracuse has done it for life, and you know, I remember playing against them when I was a player. I played against them when I coached at St. Bonaventure and at Rhode Island. And fortunately, when I was at Rhode Island, I had my son Jimmy, my first son, and we went up there and beat him, you know, against the zone because we had such a great shooting basketball team. But the zone is a defense that could really hurt teams. And I'm watching Duke now, and Duke is really taking a liking to, especially the 2-3 zone. So, you know, zones are good. We play, you know, zone off and on, and I think it's a really good piece of the puzzle for us that we need to fall back on. But, you know, as you've seen, we did it against Siena, and they just shot the lights out. So I don't know, you know, we probably could have had 7 guys on the court. But you got to give them credit. They just made great shots. But against Niagara, especially the second half, we made some adjustments with the man and the zone. And I think it was a big piece because we just slowed their momentum down, and we kind of took them out of any kind of continuity that they had. And I think that really helped us in not only rebounding, but it also helped us get our offense going.
There were times where you would see 4 gold jerseys on Friday night around the basketball once it came off the iron. I know a lot of that is effort, and that's hustle, and it's just at times just sheer determination, you know, to stay within space and stay in terms of the execution of to going out there. But as a coach, when you constantly harp on things about rebounding the basketball and making sure guys are in position to grab that, what kind of I guess reward is that, knowing that things at this point in the season, regardless if you've got seniors on the floor or even some of the freshmen, now that you see it really start to sink in?
Well, you know, Manhattan plays the zone. They press back into a zone, and I think that really helped us in preparation for any team that plays a zone. And on our offense, we did a great job of really sharing the basketball, making the extra pass. And I think going into Niagara, all of a sudden, they start playing that, you know, the 2-3 zone extended. And as a result, we had 15 assists, which really led to the extra pass. And a lot of those passes were great passes, whether it was high-low or reversals on the perimeter, to get really good shots. And our guys were able to put them in. And that's important, but you know, you got to share the basketball, you got to make the extra pass, you got to go inside out, you also got to look to the baseline, and I think our kids did a great job of doing it.
unselfish play from the Golden Griffins at Niagara, and almost at points probably too unselfish at various times, but it's resulting in even higher percentage shots. When you have a distributor like we've seen from Malcolm McMillan at the very start of the season and the emergence of Chris Atkinson, those guys, is it something that they find within the rhythm of the offense, or is now that they're just seeing the floor better, knowing the rhythm of different sets and what you're trying to accomplish on the offensive end?
Well, it's confidence too. You know, it's confidence in knowing that they can make the pass and they can set up our offense and really, really be the quarterback of the team, making that extra pass and then being ready. And I call it shot ready. You know, you got to be shot ready when you make that pass and reverse the basketball. Guys got to be shot ready, and I know this for a fact. I had two sons that played for me, and if they weren't shot ready, they were sitting right next to me. So they learned early on that you got to be shot ready because teams are going to be playing against you. And I think our guys understand how important that is to be shot ready, because you make that one pass, two passes, and all of a sudden you're able to be open, and you gotta be ready to shoot the basketball.
A lot of the times too, we give the credit to the guards to be shot ready, but your ability with the bigs, Kevin Bleeker, Phil Valente, Jermaine Crumpton, they can step out. Do we not give enough credit to having good hands for the guys that are playing under post?
Well, no, they know how important. I mean, our post guys are they're like perimeter post, where they can come inside and outside. And I've just been a firm believer. I coached the Panama Olympic team for over a period of 10 years. And the international game, as well as you get 30-40% of the NBA game is international players. And those guys are very multiple. They are able to play on the perimeter as well as play inside. So, I love that trait. And our guys, when we recruit guys, we want guys to be able to face up and shoot the basketball. And you see that with Valente, you see that with Crumpton, you see that with Bleeker, you see that with Cassidy Ryan. So this is real important for us, but they have that uncanny ability to be able to step out against the zone or man-to-man and be ready to knock it down. And we want them to have that type of confidence, but you have to put in the time. You have to practice that way. You have to play that way. You have to have that kind of discipline to understand that if you're open, I want you to shoot the ball. But with that in mind, you got to go get the rebound too if it misses. So it goes hand in hand. And I think our guys are very, very capable of doing that and doing it with confidence. I mean, you saw Crumpton step away from Quinnipiac, hit a big shot in the corner. You saw Valente doing that in the Niagara game. When they were playing his own, he stepped out. And, we need our guys to have that type of confidence. But again, we were able to have 15 assists against Niagara, and that's sharing the basketball and being very unselfish.
Everything came together against the Purple Eagles on Friday night. Then the Golden Griffins returned home for the first time in a little over 2 weeks on Sunday. We're with the head coach, Jim Barron, here on the Jim Barron Show, presented by Geico. We'll shift gears and talk about the atmosphere inside the Kessler Athletic Center and look ahead as well to a weekend of MAC play on the road as the Golden Griffins travel to Fairfield and Ryder in the week ahead. More of the Jim Barron Show presented by Geico coming up right after this.
If you're the band Europe, you love a final countdown. It's what you do. If you want to save 15% or more on car insurance, you switch to Geico. It's what you do.
More of the Jim Barron Show with us here on GoGriffs.com and the flagship station of Golden Griffin basketball on WECK. I'm your host, Ben Wagner. We've got the head coach, Jim Barron, with us talking about some hoops after the win on Friday night, as the MAC does. You've got a quick turnaround and a team that was kind of laying in the weeds, I think. Fresh legs arrived at the Kessler Athletic Center on Sunday afternoon, and the Siena Saints, who literally could not miss on the floor. And I know with the hot start that they had shooting the basketball, you're playing catch up for moment one.
Well, you know what, Ben? This is what happens in college basketball. It's different from the pros. I mean, we don't re-sign kids like they do in the pros. We graduate them, and they move on. So, we got a lot of newcomers, and you're right, we won 3 in a row, and I told our guys, I said, these guys are going to try to punch us in the face the first 5 minutes, and they did. I mean, they just, excuse me, after beating them 5 times in a row, and I mean, we beat them pretty good in the past, but they came in, and Bisbee was healthy last year. He was out for most of the year, and Long was very good. I mean, they just stepped in, and, they didn't play. They played, their last game was Thursday night. We played Friday night, so it was a real quick turnaround, and, and they came in and shot 72% for the first half. And I'm telling you, I mean, we were on them a lot of shots. We were in their face, but they stepped up, and you got to give them the credit. And that's the part of the game that, you can do as much as you possibly can, but when they start shooting like that, and that happened to us when we played Monmouth the first time. And Monmouth had beaten UCLA, they beat Southern Cal, they beat Notre Dame. I mean, they had great wins, and we came in, and I mean, we just went at them, and I mean, it didn't matter. It was like, 9 guys that were in sync, ready to score the basketball and shoot the basketball. And that's what Siena came in, and, it was an emotional day. The 93, 94, 95 team came back, and I went over to the luncheon before, saw Coach Beeline and a lot of his former players who, at the time, I was the head coach at St. Bonaventure, and we had battles against them that were unbelievable. And it was great seeing those guys. And Freddie Dupree, who's on my staff, played on that team, so he kind of helped put it together. But John Maddock and the staff, they did a great job of bringing all these guys back. And, for me, I just wish we would have played a little bit better, and I wish Siena would have played a little bit worse. But we ran into a buzzsaw, to be quite frank with you. And like I said, they shot the eyes out of the ball, the lights out of the ball the first half. And, we kind of switched man and zone. And even when we went zone, they did the same thing. So, they're a good basketball team. And they're a team that beat Hofstra, who we played early on, is the team to beat to win the Colonial Conference. They beat St. Bonaventure, and they also beat Albany. So this team, that team was a good basketball team, and they got, good experience. And Long and Bisbane were very, very good. They both had 20-plus points, and, it was just a tough game, especially coming off winning 3 games in a row. And I was very leery of that because, I think with having so many newcomers, it still takes time to understand that you got to keep getting ready for the next challenge. And that's our goal. That goal is not only to win 1, 2, 3, but to keep winning. Because as you get ready for the playoffs down the stretch, I mean, you got to win back to back to back, to have a chance to go to the NCAA tournament. And that's what, our goal is. So, it's a big part of, building consistency, building confidence. And, our guys have really, understood that as we've come off of tough losses. Now, we got to get back and we got to go on the road to play, another 2 good games against guys that are, very good right now. Fairfield's a very good team. Marcus Gilbert's probably one of the best wing players in the league. I mean, he's shooting the lights out for Fairfield, and then we turn around and play against a team that has beat us pretty good, Ryder, the last year. So, these are going to be the challenges for us. But as we move forward, we got to develop continuity and consistency, and these guys got to understand that you got to bounce right back, and you got to get right back into it. And, your intensity has to raise to the level of the opponent's intensity. And, that's what we've been able to do on the road when we beat Manhattan. They went up 13, all of a sudden, boom, we got right back in the game because we started to play defense, we started to play with a lot more intensity, and there was a sense of agency. And that's what our guys got to constantly realize, the importance of a sense of agency. And that's why, when I know Kevin Bleeker, Jamal Reynolds and Malcolm McMillan, and even Phil Valenti is one of the upperclassmen and captains. I mean, those guys got to understand the intensity that we have to keep showing and letting the younger guys know how important it is to be ready defensively, offensively, as well as rebounding the basketball.
That intensity on Sunday against Siena, also evident that Siena is a different kind of team from what the Golden Griffins had seen to this point, kind of in their overall makeup, especially in league play. I don't think anybody's really kind of built and a club that's constructed like Siena.
Yeah, there's no question. I mean, they got an inside and outside play. They got 4 men that can step away and shoot the ball. They're a good team. I mean, they got some pieces of the puzzle, and I think in the past they've been hurt, they've been injured, and now all of a sudden they're getting themselves back on the healthy list. And again, they still have a guy sitting out that's a really good point guard. And I don't know, him sitting out makes the other guys better, but I tell you what, they were as complete as anybody we played, and they were a very, very good basketball team. And I told our guys, I mean, it's, they could have beaten a lot of teams Sunday afternoon, and we ran into a buzzsaw, and that's all part of the game. And you hope that you can continue to get your guys to play that way each and every night, because I mean, that's what helped us beat Monmouth early on. That's what helped us beat Manhattan and beat some of the teams that we've played. And again, that's constantly building up intensity, building up confidence, and building up continuity.
And on a 3-game win streak like the Golden Griffins had, I mean, we talked about it on the pregame show, we talked about it on the bus ride. I mean, when the shots go in, life is just easier.
There's no question.
Well, and that's what led to a 4-game skid. Helped you to a 3-game win streak, and when the shots weren't able to be equaled as quickly against Siena like they were on Sunday, you were playing behind the 8 ball. We've got a lot to cover too coming up in the last segment. We want to talk about Ryder, we want to talk about Fairfield, we'll talk about some of the young players as well, kind of budding into their own and where they're at now as the month of February knocks on the door. We've got more of the Jim Barron Show presented by Geico coming back on WECK, the flagship station for Golden Griffins on radio, and of course, you're watching it on GoGriffs.com. We're back with more with the head coach right after this.
If you're the band Europe, you love a final countdown. It's what you do. If you want to save 15% or more on car insurance, you switch to Geico. It's what you do.
Presented by Geico, this is the Jim Barron Show. I'm your host, Ben Wagner. As we work our way closer to another weekend of MAC basketball, we've got the head coach, Jim Barron, joining us here. And exciting times. Team gets back out on the road after just one home game and a lot of time on the road with a couple of good basketball teams right in front of you as well. We start first at Fairfield, then go to Ryder. The challenges of playing on the road, playing in conference play, I think this time of year really start to heat up because students are back in session. That changes the atmosphere of every arena that the Golden Griffins play in, including with what the C Block was able to do at home and even traveling to Niagara. It was great to see a couple of busloads of kids. But also the challenges then in going on the road and being mentally prepared to be ready to play. And that's exactly the challenge on Friday night against Fairfield. And you already talked about that, this is a dangerous team. They've got a couple of good players that can step out and knock down some shots.
Well, it's a really good team right now. I mean, they're playing. They just beat Iona, so Iona was the top of the league, so they're very good. Marcus Gilbert is one of the best wing players in the league. I mean, he's been, he seems like he's been there for about 5 years or so, but he could really score, he could shoot the ball, he could really take it off the dribble, but they're a very, very good basketball team playing right now. And this is the same kind of scenario. I mean, we were fortunate to beat them, last couple of times we played them, and again, they're playing with a lot of confidence. They're a good basketball team. They got good postmen, they got good guards. So, we got to be ready to go. And then we turn around and then we go to New Jersey to play Ryder, who beat us last year twice. So, again, they got big guards. They're very, very capable. I mean, the games that I've seen against them, I mean, they've been right in every game, and they got guards that can shoot it. They got postmen that are very athletic. So these are very, very two games for us, important games. But, our guys got to get ready we got to be ready to, really defend, rebound, and get our offense going, with our defense. And that's going to be very important. So, This is a big important time for everybody in college basketball, and for us, I mean, we're kind of in the middle of the pack right now, trying to fight our way up top, and we're playing against good teams. So, we got to be ready to go, and we got to really keep coming together as a team and really try to build some consistency and some continuity.
Wanted to ask you about the logjam that's in the standings. There's Monmouth, there's Iona, there's St. Peter's. Those are the top 3 teams, minimal losses. And then everybody that can knock off everybody. Is that a lot of parity that we're seeing in the league with the next 4 or 5 teams that are in the MAC? And not necessarily saying that Iona and Monmouth and St. Peter's are that much better than everybody else, but it just seems like there's a cluster of clubs that are just kind of knocking each other around right now.
Well, there's a couple of things. A lot of those teams that are up top have a lot of returning players that are very good. I mean, when you look at Iona, they got A.J. English. He's probably been the best guard in the league for the last couple of years, and he's a big guard at 6'4". They also have athletes that are surrounding them so they can really score the ball. They try to score big numbers when they're playing the game. Then you got Monmouth. They got Justin Robinson, okay? He's a guy that really has emerged as a junior. He's one of the top guards. St. Peter's, they had a very good point guard last year. Then they bring a new point guard in that's really good, but they are very, very athletic. They can really score the basketball. So, those 3 teams are very good teams that do have a lot of veterans coming back. And, again, they're playing, they're really, I mean, especially St. Peter's, they're overachieving, in my opinion, and they're playing very, very well together. And that's what you want to try to build up. Then you get the next pack, whether it's us, Siena, we're all in that middle, with Quinnipiac and, Niagara, we're all in that middle pack. And, we got to be ready to keep stepping up so that we can, get a little bit ahead of everybody else. And that is just trying to build consistency, build some continuity, get better defending, get better rebounding. And then on the offensive end, you got to keep, running your stuff and getting to the glass. And that's what it's all about, is trying to keep coming together as a unit and as a team and build confidence.
How much change in the offense has been implemented over the last month or so? I think the last show that we talked about, one new play that's been working and generating a lot of offense for you. How much new offensive stuff are you able to put in, or do you even want to put in?
Well, you try to utilize what's been good for you. I think that the thing is, we've kind of pulled back a little bit with not slowing down, but just slowing the pace. The reason being is because we're playing back to back to back, and that's very, very grueling, on the legs. So, with a lot of times when you have newcomers like a Malcolm McMillan and, guys coming into the fold like a Chris Atkinson, it takes a little bit of time to really understand that pace, as you're going. But again, we're trying to utilize the stuff that we got, and then you got to make adjustments, as you play, whether it's going to be a pick and pop, whether it's trying to get the ball inside, whether it's trying, each team presents different problems. You got a Manhattan that plays, they play the press. You got Niagara that'll extend the floor. You got Siena that goes both. They play zone and man-to-man, but they also can shoot the ball from the perimeter. So a lot of teams, and that's where you got to show film. You got to break it down. You got to get the guys to understand the concepts that they really have to accumulate as you move forward so that you could put it back in your head and stick with concepts. That's why we never make crazy adjustments, and the reason being is we want to try to be as consistent as possible with devising a game plan of what you're going to do. In football, you got a week sometimes to prepare, so you can change a lot of defensive schemes. But I think in basketball, because you're playing back to back, you got to stay on the concepts of how you're playing, be consistent, so there's no guessing game. And now your guys got to play with that kind of confidence.
That's head coach Jim Barron. And coming up this weekend, speaking of back-to-back, guess what's in front of you? Back-to-back ball games. Friday night, we'll have broadcast coverage on WECK, the flagship station of the Golden Griffins, beginning at 6:40. Tip-off shortly after 7 o'clock. Then on Sunday afternoon, same scenario. We'll have a 25-minute pregame show. We'll visit again with the head coach, and then we'll get set to wrap up the road trip as well. Head coach Jim Barron's been joining us, and thanks so much for the time, Coach. We look forward to seeing
Ben.
you on Friday.
Great
all right?
seeing you too.
All right, Friday night, that's when the Golden Griffins will be back in action. Fairfield will host Canisius, and then on Sunday, once again, find all the game time details at gogriffs.com. Hope to see you at the Kessler Athletic Center as well. Call 716-888-TIXX for ticket info, or find it at gogriffs.com. I've been your host, Ben Wagner. We'll talk to you from Fairfield, Connecticut, coming up on Friday night. Thanks for joining us for this edition of the Jim Barron Show. It's been presented by Geico.